Chicagoans take action after an intense streak of violence over the 4th of July weekend. In just 3 days, between Friday and Sunday, shootings killed 7 people and left 48 more injured. Right now, families are marching to end the violence in Humboldt Park. NBC5's Regina Waldrop joins us from the Peace March with much more. Regina?
Allison, 7-year-old Amari Brown was gunned down just a few steps from where I'm standing right now. His aunt says the Peace March that just wrapped up here was for him and all the other people who were wounded or shot and killed over the long and violent weekend.
Save our community.
Save our children.
Save our children.
A holiday weekend marred by more than 30 shootings.
Too many guns on the streets. You have a criminal justice system that lets out too many people repeatedly who use guns.
I just thought my chest had just started hurting like it was just a pain.
Mallory Britton considers herself one of the lucky ones.
Then I felt my stomach getting wet, so I felt it and I looked at my hand, it was a bunch of blood, and then it just started to burn really bad.
Britton was in the Humboldt Park neighborhood Saturday night when someone opened fire on a group. She was shot twice. One bullet is still lodged inside her chest.
One went in and out, and one still in my chest.
Britton says she was talking to 7-year-old Amari Brown when shots rang out, seemingly out of nowhere. Amari was also hit.
Then I looked, and I seen Amari sitting on the ground, here laying on the ground, and he had his leg pushed up to his stomach, so I'm thinking like he just tripped. So, and then he just was laying there and looking up.
Amari's father says he had to take his son to 2 different hospitals before he could finally get some help at Stroger.
I couldn't get no help in Bethany Hospital. They told me lay my son on the side, on the table.
At Brown's Humboldt Park this morning, outrage and grief for the death of a little boy who was excited about entering the 2nd grade.
He ain't asked for his wings. Somebody chose to give that baby some wings that he didn't ask for.
And police tell us that the bullet that hit Amari was in fact meant for his father. So far, there have been no arrests, and Amari's father says he will cooperate with police and he will get justice for his son the right way.
Now, Amari Brown was the youngest victim of a deadly weekend here in Chicago. But police insist it's his father, Antonio Brown, who was the intended target. Tonight, we're learning about the father's past and why police say he should have not been on the streets. NBC5's Katie Kim's working the story from the newsroom now, and she has late information. Katie?
Allison, Antonio Brown is a convicted felon with a lengthy arrest record. He was most recently arrested in April for a gun charge. Police say he was out of jail the very next day, and now city leaders say a little boy is dead because of a broken system.
The bullet that killed 7-year-old Amari Brown, who was simply watching Independence Day fireworks, was meant for his father, a known gang member, according to Chicago police.
If Mr. Brown is in custody, his son is alive.
Antonio Brown's response is Chicago Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy.
Don't false accuse me of nothing, man. Of nothing, man. He bogus.
Brown says his rap sheet has nothing to do with his son's death. Chicago police say they've arrested him 45 times. His most recent run-in came in April for an unlawful use of a firearm. Court records show a judge set his bond at $50,000, which Brown posted.
45 arrests. Arrested for a firearm. Back on the street the next day.
Along with a visibly outraged Brown, his attorney David Gager also says his high arrest record doesn't paint the whole picture.
Those are just what they are, arrests, accusations, and sometimes not even that.
Of his lengthy rap sheet, NBC5 Investigates found Brown has been convicted of 5 felonies, all drug-related, over the last decade. Most of his other cases were dismissed, and records show his April gun charges are his first.
To have his character assassinated like that while the blood of his son is still on his pants is just, it's inaccurate.
Still, with the city reeling over an innocent child's death, city leaders point to Brown as an example of a broken criminal justice system.
To people with a criminal record, that people have to scratch their head and say, what are they doing on the streets?
The mayor and police superintendent have both said that Brown is not cooperating in the investigation. Brown and his attorney vehemently denied that, saying he was waiting to speak to detectives with his lawyers present. His attorney also told us there is no proof to back up police claims Brown is a gang member and was the intended target. Rob?
Police are investigating a deadly shooting near a park named after a slain teenager. Police say 17-year-old Vonzell Banks was shot in the back and killed today in the 4300 block of South King near Hydea Pendleton Park. A 19-year-old man also suffered a gunshot to the foot. Police do not believe the victims were the intended target.
4th of July weekend has historically been a violent weekend in the city, so tonight there's a call to keep it peaceful. Director Spike Lee joined a group of men making their presence known on the street tonight. They hope the all-male march will send a strong message.
We're here as brothers to say, you're our sons, you're our brothers, you're family to us, so we're just asking for peace.
St. Sabina Parish organized this march as they do every week.
Tragedy on Chicago's northwest side. A 7-year-old boy has been shot and killed during July 4th celebration.
NBC 5's Emily Flores is live at the site where this happened. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning, Anthony and Susan. Yeah, we've changed locations here to the scene now where this incident happened. A very tragic scene. What's supposed to be a fun celebration for this family ended in the most horrific way. The family saying little 7-year-old Amari Brown was out watching fireworks with his father when shots rang out, one striking him and killing him. This is the picture of little Amari. The family describes him as a jokester. Your typical 7-year-old, loved to play, loved to run, but the best way to describe him was as a sweet, sweet little boy. Police say the shooting here in the 1100 block of North Harding happened just before midnight. A 26-year-old female and 7-year-old Amari were among those on the street when a gunman walked up to the group and started firing shots. We were able to speak to Amari's father this morning off camera, and he just told me that he did not know they were gunshots because the fireworks were sounding. He didn't know anything was wrong until Amari called his name. Now, the 26-year-old female was shot in the chest. She was transported to Stroger in stable condition. Amari, also shot in the chest, was transported to Stroger in critical and then pronounced dead soon after he arrived at the hospital. Now, family says Amari again was out watching fireworks with his dad. The family describing him as a complete daddy's boy. The 26-year-old female and 7-year-old Amari, we're told, are not related at this point. No one is in custody, and the investigation continues. We'll have an update coming up at 8:30. We'll send it back to you in studio.
Just an awful story, Emily. Thank you.
Quite honestly, we're surprised at the lax gun laws in our state as well as our country, because there are too many crime guns on the street, but we need action.
I am so disgusted with the violence that's going on in our city. I'm so disgusted with the politicians that we elect that allow these things to go on. I'm so disgusted with the lack of responsibility, control they have on these guns, on the streets, on violence. Whatever needs to be done, I'm willing to do it, because this cannot keep happening. I do not want to raise my children in this type of environment, and I do not want to be raised in this type of environment. I just don't